Hey guys, if you are on the road to wellness, or perhaps you're seeking to find that path to wellness, then get excited, because I am. In this interview, we get to speak with Evangelia Vensel, and this woman is a ball of fire when it comes to empowering people and helping them see that healing is possible. And where do we start? So let's not wait any longer. Let's jump right in. If you want to connect with Evangelia, be sure to check out the links below. I'll leave links to her Facebook pages and her website so that you can connect with her. So let's just jump right into this conversation and see where it goes.
My message to everyone is, these are messages to us to pay attention, and to really look outside the box in not just how to make it stop. Like everyone's just like, give me the magic pill. Tell me what it's going to do to make it stop. Is it going to stop altogether? And it's like, nothing stops altogether. It's reprogramming. It's new patterns. It's new thinking. It's diving into things you don't know about that, it's almost like, how do I get these people at a point where they get so sick of being sick so that they're like, okay, I want to try looking outside the box. I want to actually, not worry about my constant stomach pain and my constant brain fog, and start kind of thinking, what's going on emotionally? What have I gone through? Like, the inner wounded journey seems to me to be so left and taboo in the world of healing. Like, yes, we go to talk therapy. Yes, we go see a psychologist and we talk about our shit, but that is only replaying the past over and over and over again. We're not given any loophole or a tool, unless you're seeing a really fantastic psychologist and they know like NLP and they know Psych K and they know like actual modalities to actually rewire a subconscious belief or help them do, I don't know how to call it, medical form of shamanic work where the psychologist actually helps them move through that trauma, because that's where the root of the problem is actually they're keeping us from wanting to get rid of the past, because us living in the past keeps us a retained customer, keeps us on the medication, keeps us living it chronically like a broken fucking record, right? Yeah. And the world is starting to go, I'm so sick and tired of being a broken record. And then there's people like you and me that are like disruptors, and we're like, I know how to help you stop being a broken record. Right. And it's really not that hard, but it will require effort and action. And we've been brought up in a society in the medical world of work. What? That's what the doctor does. We give all our power over to the guy in the white coat or the woman in the white coat, because it's like this warp zone. The minute you go into their office, you're like, guru, yes, you have all the answers. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. It's almost like this weird, like I just experienced it the other day going to I'm interviewing surgeons right now. Mm-hmm. And that was my fear before going, was I know as soon as I meet with the doctor, I'm going to be like bow downing to him, like, because he is the doctor. And it just, if we don't have other knowledge, then, which is like 80% of everybody, you go in and you just believe the doctor. If you walk in there with no knowledge and you just believe it, then you're stuck on the train. And just the guy yesterday that I saw was like, his solution was, my conditions are triggered by cold weather, and then I need to either at some point invest in another home in a warmer climate or move and do more yoga. We all need to do more fucking yoga, okay? Giving out a prescription to everybody, like everybody needs to be doing yoga. Right. But it was almost kind of like he really didn't know how to help me in this situation. And it's always about, how am I going to manage? And in the real world, to actually manage something, it's really unrealistic for the people that are suffering. They get told they have to go do this, and they're like, I don't have the money. They're like, oh, I can't help you until you get off the pharmaceuticals. And you're like, Okay, so who's going to help me get off the pharmaceuticals?
Yep.
Because that's what happened with me, and that's what's happening to like 75% of my community. They all want off that shit, but they're not being guided to. But they don't have enough money to hire an advocate or a caretaker or someone like a coach to go sit with them and work them through the detox. Yeah, you can detox off cocaine and meds at a detox center, but what about the people that go to rehab for drugs and then all of a sudden they just put you on pharmaceutical drugs? They're like, oh, well, your drug addiction was because you have ADHD. You need a stimulant. Yeah. Oh, it's because you have depression. So it's like they take you off of one and put you on another one. And then you've got them in and out of psych wards. I deal with this daily, Nate. Like, how do we help these people get off of that? I have nowhere to send them. I have nowhere to say, hey, I have no resources whatsoever, references for these people. They're like, how did you do it? I'm like, oh my God, I did it in my bed on my own. I just looked at these pills. I'm like, I'm only going to take a little bit off at a time. One doctor wanted me to go half. And then that, for some reason, didn't seem right. One doctor was like, you need to taper down one pill every month. And it was like being steered in all these different directions on how it was going to taper, but nobody fucking knew or could say, hey, you know what? It's going to take a while. We need you to, I had to figure that shit on my own. I want to help people get off their meds, but I'm not a fucking doctor. What if something comes up for them? How am I going to help them that way? It's like, but I know it's doable. I know the human body can do it, because we've basically programmed the neural pathways in our brain by substituting it with a chemical to basically do it for us, right? So when you take that away, the brain is shocked. Like, wait a minute, I only know this path. So now you're trying to tell me to go this way? And the only way it can continue to stay going that way is if you have to literally repetitive work. Nope, I know you want to go this way, but we got to try and do it this way. It's almost like building a train track, right? It's going to take a while. You got to add more track so you can go further and further till eventually that old path, the brain is like, I don't need that path anymore. And that's what happens when you get off street drugs. It happens when you get off pharmaceuticals, any kind of addiction, whether that's food, whether that's how you drive your car, whether it's how you talk to your spouse, whether, how you sleep at night. It's all patterns. And we've never been under the care of actual physicians and doctors to say, you know what, I'm going to give you a plan. I'm going to recreate a pattern and a plan for you. And that's why so many of us out there that are trying to bring this awareness, that have reached that point like you and me, where you're like, I want to dig in deeper. I want to know, how do I change those patterns, those thinking, the repetitive shit, and why does it keep coming back? Like, a doctor can't even tell you why it keeps coming back. It's a broken trauma, like an event that happened in your field, right? So if you don't actually address it and heal it or change the vibration of it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to stay playing over and over and over again, which is another form of PTSD. But PTSD can be healed with sounds.
Something that you're talking about there is, this repetitive pattern of these thoughts or these beliefs that show up, which result in like actions. It's like how we show up inside of our lives, how we show up inside of our relationships. And I think that takes a certain degree of awareness to recognize when when we're showing up the same way, or we're having repetitive thoughts, because until you are aware that there is a pattern, like there's something happening again and again and again, like it's kind of like we're sleepwalking, and then all of a sudden a person wakes up and they seize this pattern, or they finally feel it, like, holy crap, like how many times am I going to do this?
Yeah, you think about the people that are aware and on meds, and they're stuck. And they're like, I want off of these pills, but I can't get off of them. I don't know how to get off of them. And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's just scary, because when you're on the meds, that part of the brain that allows you to be awake allows you to have intuitive instincts, allows you to tap into the creative thinking part. That's basically like Big Pharma's plan. That's where our spirit is. That's where our creativeness is. That's where our solutions are. And they wipe it out. So when you've got someone on meds trying to go, I need to wake you up. I need to wait time to wake up. There's no fucking way, because the medication, I mean, people that like want to do this brain rewiring stuff, this is what breaks my heart the most is I'm like, I can't help you if you're on all these meds. There's no point in me going in and trying to rewire something if there's an actual chemical being added every single day to support the old pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's really unfortunate. There's someone that I love dearly, and she's suffering dearly with mast cell, Lyme, gut issues, panic attacks. I mean, literally, she's living like she's running from a bear. She's reacting to constantly, nonstop, in different environments, trying to find a place safe to be, trying to be safe, feel safe in her own skin, trying to feel not threatened by food, not having her body react to just eating food. And really, it's like everything is against her, and she's on medications. And one doctor gives her this, one doctor tries to drop her on this, then she can't get a prescription, and then she's got one doctor, sending her through mail prescriptions just so she can fucking survive. But at the same time, I'm like, it's those meds that are keeping you on this crazy whirlwind. And so she's like, how the hell do I get off? I want to get off. But then she needs that caretaker next to her, helping her to almost like rewire her. Like, she's scared to take showers. She's scared to eat. She's scared to just care for herself. You know how many millions of Americans are living that way? A lot of homeless people are really not just homeless because they want to be, or there's an actual underlying root cause, and they're running from something, or they're hiding, or it's their safe place to actually be homeless. People in the mold illness community. Even though the sad reality is there's fucking mold everywhere. I don't want to be a bitch and be rude and discredit and say it doesn't exist, because I know it does. But what doesn't exist is a safe place for these people that can't find one fucking environment for them to detox the mold, so that one day they can exist with the mold. Because why are millions of others existing with all the mold everywhere? Their immune systems are fine, or they're immune to it, or nothing's been compromised, or they've never been overly exposed to it for their body to start setting them alarm systems that this environment's not safe. All of a sudden you're getting reacted. Most people that are walking around taking Claritin are having mast cell reactions, and Western medicine and the medical industry calls it histamine reaction, which is a mast cell reaction. Your body is sending you an alert that whatever's in your environment is unsafe for your body. So when you have someone with mast cell and they're stuck in fight or flight, which is an impaired limbic system from the trauma or the illness or an event or a divorce, I mean, anything can impair the limbic system. So once that goes click, it's like food, people, energies, environments, things, their body and cell.
Okay, so what happened is we just lost connectivity, but we're going to jump right back into the place where, so the last thing that I got, Evangelia, is you were talking about people with mast cell, how they start getting triggered by food, people, environment, and then their body and cells, and that's where I lost you.
Yeah, so their body is perceiving this and their cells as a threat. Everything's a threat.
Right.
So the body fights back by reacting and by not allowing the body to actually process or detox.
Is this something that you faced personally?
Yes, because when there's so many different complex pieces to what contributed to my health failing and allowing the bacteria to become reactivated with Lyme, because I was pretty much coexisting with it almost my entire life, and I had symptoms, side effects. And it wasn't until, and I was living in my house with mold at the time, and I was fine. So nothing became okay and existable. Like I couldn't exist anymore. That's the way I look at it, until a car accident in 2013. Nobody really got hurt in the car but me, and I thought it was from having Chiari malformation, and that, I'd already was kind of pre-existing with like, neck issues from being literally being a hairdresser for 20 years. My body was like, and carrying babies and caring for other babies and making cakes and painting like all the time. But it was manageable.
Right.
Right. And so the car accident happened, and literally nothing was manageable anymore. I couldn't even go into my salon that I have in my backyard when I took my clients. I couldn't go into my own bathroom, and I didn't even know. This is at the time I had no idea mast cell existed. I had no idea what was going on. I just was constantly getting this, like my nose would get congested, my skin would itch, my throat would get swollen, and I'm like, what is going on? I was getting allergic to food. I couldn't break food down. So every time I ate something, my skin would get rashy, or my heart would start racing. Like, oh my God, I felt like I was having a heart attack, to where I'd stop. I was like, okay, maybe it was the food. And then you become like super psychotic about the food you're eating. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to eat that again because that made me feel like that. And then I'm not going to eat that again. So then it was like, what the fuck can I eat? I couldn't I couldn't do any. It like re-triggered all the metals that was in my blood already, that my body was able to kind of metabolize and function with from being a hairdresser. And it was like a fucking explosion of disruption in my body. The headaches that I used to have that I was managing was unmanageable. My wrist pain that I had that I was managing turned into tremors. So that was like the metals caused the tremors, the accident from the trauma caused. It was like the way my life existed did not exist anymore. It
sounds like a dam broke. It just sounds like all this stuff that was like back up, it was already kind of there. It was just like the dam broke, and it all just went haywire.
Yeah. When I mention these things to my community, they're all kind of like, I'm like, because I wrote a blog about it. I wrote a blog that's called Trauma Was My Trigger. What was your trigger? Like, what triggered, if you go back and rewind your own tape, where did it all go wrong? Was it a divorce? Was it a fight with your husband? Mine was, to everyone else, it was a fender bender, but she was going like 30 miles when she hit us. And for me, it was like running into a brick wall, or like, I felt my skull, my brain shake. Like I heard a click in my neck. But I was already a sensitive person.
Right.
The driver didn't know she hit the wrong person. But in court, they made me out to be this hypochondriac, lying person that just wanted to fucking be sick and hurt. And that Lyme didn't exist. And that an accident like that couldn't contributed to my depression and my way of life. It's like, well, when your whole way of life gets taken away from you after one event, you better fucking believe I'm going to be depressed. I can't do hair anymore. I can't bake cakes anymore. I can't plan people's parties anymore. I can't paint anymore. I can't fucking do my own hair anymore. Like, I had to fucking cut it all off. I had to learn to manage and then be led down Western medicine of pharmaceutical after pharmaceutical after pharmaceutical after pharmaceutical. Where, when I showed the community my list that I was on every single fucking day, I even had doctors chime in on my page, and they're like, how are you alive?
Yeah. Well, and just
I don't know.
for the audience to know, how many pharmaceuticals are you on today? And like, we don't need exact specifics, and how far have you come from where you were at the point of where you were the worst? Just so they know who they're listening to. I want people to realize who they're listening to.
Okay, so I used to call myself a pharmaceutical junkie, because after rehab, after actually getting off the drugs, street drugs, I had a good 5-year gap there of being completely like no drugs, no pharmaceuticals. And I know we talked about that in that last interview. until the car accident. And then it was like, I was on 2 pharmaceuticals before the car accident for sleep and mood stability. And then after that, it was Botox for head pain. So I had Botox injections all around my skull and in my neck. I was on heavy doses of muscle relaxers and painkillers like trazodone. I can't pronounce the muscle relaxers.
That's okay.
Yeah. Then they upped my dose on my sleep aid, which was trazodone, which is, I know millions of Americans are living off of, which is fucking horrible. Tramadol for pain, Lyrica for nerve pain, gabapentin, and these are all, they fucked me up. Like, it almost makes me understand why I was so brain fogged and why I was in bed. Like, the fact that I didn't start to get better till I started changing my mindset and tapering off these meds, that I was like, oh my God, I actually can, like, I was like, things were getting cleaned off. Like, and not holding in, like, I know so many people are living with their labels. Oh, I have manic depressive. Oh, my whole family I have anti-anxiety meds and I can't live without them. And I have this and this and I have that. Yeah, my whole family has it. And it's really unfortunate because I was that victim. My whole family is on antidepressants, aunts and uncles, cousins, and anxiety, but they lived a very different kind of traumatic, low poverty life than I did. So that's where I talk about, I love preaching and talking about ancestral trauma, because that vibration gets carried into our cells when we're conceived. It's not the DNA. It's the stories and the vibrations that are being held in the cells. So when I did a frequency reading for my ancestral field, like, what the fuck am I still carrying? Because I've cleared my own trauma. Why does this keep attracting to me? So I did a water assessment with Minerva, and oh my God, there was like, I was carrying my dad's trauma from his childhood, my great grandmother's, and it just made sense. And I had a water imprinted to reverse and harmonize those vibrations. And not even 30 days into the water, I had like a family reunion, and it was like, as soon as one person changes the vibration, it like fucking bled onto everyone. I got invited to Christmas I have not been at Christmas with my whole family. We've all had our traumas and our issues where we just can't do it, right? All of a sudden we show up and everybody's on the same level of awareness of, we've got to heal our past. We're carrying on this shit that we need to change for our children. And it was like, wow, I'm not connected to that stuff anymore. And there are millions of Americans walking around, just not even in America, with their family's ancestral trauma that's plaguing them, and created this stigma of, oh, I just have anxiety. My whole family has anxiety. Or this is how I was born. I've always had anxiety. It's like, no. And I know that's why it sounds so crazy for me to come at people and go, no, we can change that. And they're like, what? Not even a fucking doctor's told me that. How do we spread the awareness more and louder to get these people to understand that they have the power? The only way we can get that back is taking the power away from all the pharmaceuticals, giving our body the ability to go, no, I can fight back, because that's what God created the human body to do. It constantly, daily, minute by minute is constantly reparative. Like, it's a machine. It's a fucking machine. And we need the world to know that, because we are the most creative, most powerful being on this earth, on this planet. And we have the ability to do literally like superhuman things. But we've been suppressed on that knowledge and that education and awareness of our abilities. And that's like why it's so hard for me to come at the community, because they look at me like I'm fucking nuts.
Well, it's holding all of us back.
What?
Oh, I'm just saying it's holding all of us back. I mean, not being able to accept that. And
a story came to mind when you're talking about that. And it's something that Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about in one of his lectures. Some of you may have heard it, but he was sitting with a little girl who was dying of cancer, and she had a cut on her arm. And this was one of those real impactful moments for Mr. Dyer, because he was sitting there and he felt inspired to talk about this, and he pointed to her arm and he started saying, like what is it inside of you that, and I can't remember how he said it specifically, but it's basically, what is it inside of you that tells your body to heal that cut? You don't have to you don't have to heal it. You don't have to give focused intention on that cut healing. It heals itself. Our body has the natural innate wisdom to heal itself. And that little girl's mother called Mr. Dyer. It was maybe a month or two afterwards. It had completely changed that little girl's mindset, and she survived because of that. She was able to pull through the cancer. And so that's something, like, if we can recognize that our bodies heal themselves, if we can give it what it needs.
Yeah, it's the same as, suppressing shamanic work, because people don't realize if they start tapping into research of what happens, the endless possibilities of the human body when you actually get rid of traumatic events or perception, when you change the perception of something negative, the body, like I always tell people that the brain is like the engine of a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
It runs the show. So if we can tweak things with our mindset and perception and beliefs, the body will do exactly what it's supposed to do. So the cancer came for a reason. We don't know, right? And so how many millions of stories out there, when you start actually researching it, like I have and a lot of other people, how these people that had crazy cancers and illnesses go to these 4-day, I think they're called dry houses or something, and they only focus on removing the trauma of whatever events that happened in their life. Forgetting about the cancer. Let's forget about you have cancer. Let's focus. What are these horrible things that have happened to you? Let's get these out of your body. And then it's like a month later, they're fucking like, woo! They're whole new people. Their cancer shrinks.
Yeah.
The cancer cannot survive in that kind of an internal biological environment. So
sorry to interrupt you, Evangelia. I want you to come back to that, but something that I just want to throw out there for those of you who may be kind of like questioning like this, like how can our beliefs or how can our thoughts really, they don't impact our body. I just want to give you an example. So pretend that the three of us, you that are watching, the three of us are standing at not a concert, but a seminar, a big seminar, and there are, let's say, 5,000 to 10,000 people all at this seminar, and we're standing over next to the booth. We're getting ourselves some drinks, and one of the people that work at this seminar comes over and says, "Hey," and is talking to you directly. Says, "Hey, I'm sorry, but one of our speakers dropped out. We'd really like you to go up on stage and speak for half an hour. Is that something that you could do?" Now, all of a sudden, you were fine just seconds before that, but now this thought or this belief has hit you about something that hasn't even happened yet, and your body is already starting to react. Your chest is getting tight. You're feeling, like that anxiety, and maybe you're starting to flush and sweat a little bit, and it's all because of a thought or a belief. It affected our physiology, impacted our hormones, everything just from a thought. And so if we can let that go and relax and get loose again. But that's just a real scenario of how our thoughts and beliefs can impact our physiology like that. And so like what you're talking about for a trauma, when you enter into that state of fight or flight, panic, whatever it may be, and you're not able to let go of the trauma because you're not able to process it, those hormones, the impact that has on your body long term, over and over and over again as it builds, like suddenly your immune system isn't processing right because your cortisol levels and all the other stuff is just jacked through the roof all the time.
Emotions are actual like molecules.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like balls of, they're just hard, round, like little marbles almost of energy. That's how, like, that's what negative emotions are like in the human body. They're like these negative, hard molecules. And so when I've been just with all my studying with trauma and studying actual people, their testimonies of going through removing the trauma or an event and hearing how they analyze it or put it into words. They gather and they kind of find a place in the body, and a lot of it will resonate in people's guts or in their backs or in their neck, anywhere that's been kind of already overworked or already stressed or already has trauma. And some people might not feel it in their body. They'll feel it all up in their head. And it's like a broken tape, like a bug in their minds. And that's an actual, like if we were to flip ourselves inside out, we realize that it's just all energy, and only our organs are bones. Those are solid. Those are real, right? But then there's all that other stuff that goes into play. It's almost like the bones are there to just keep us in structure. But why are we forgetting about all the other stuff? It's our cells, it's the water, it's the vibration, it's the flow, it's the energy. And when anything that's negative that comes into the field and then enters inside of us, it actually is a physical thing. We just can't see it, but we can feel it. We're like, oh God, that's real. But no doctors, no evidence can it's like we're living in a time where we need all this evidence to prove that your negative emotions are damaging you. Like your negative trauma gave you fibromyalgia. Your body is yelling at you saying, I'm tired. I'm holding on to this shit, and nobody's saying we've got to work it out. People with fibromyalgia are basically like, their body just gave out. They're like, I'm done. I had a stressful job. I'm a stay-at-home mom, all these things. And all of a sudden they just can't do it. It's like you're carrying backpack. So heavy. And it's like, I come around and I'm like, what? I want to open your backpack. Can we pull this shit out? And most people intuitively are actually scared to pull that shit out. And for good reason, because it does hurt. But if you don't get through that hurt, it's not going anywhere. Period. It's just going to find its spot in your body. And whether it turns into a cancer or a tumor or a lesion or fatigue or, all of a sudden something traumatic happens and all of a sudden you're just no longer the same person. All of a sudden you're like 5 years later, you're like, oh yeah, after that, I've just never been the same. It's like, okay, well then then my job and your job and all these healers out there's job right now is actually to change the perception of their event, so that it doesn't alter who they were. It's like, no, you're still that same person. Like you're allowing your brain is stuck on this event that damaged and hurt you. And now it's affected your job, your relationships. You can't keep a relationship, and your excuses, oh, well, I got in a horrible divorce 5 years ago. I just can't, It's like, that's the problem, I think, in Western medicine is we're not doing any kind of hands-on healing. We're not trying to say, let's work with the pain. It's like they want to avoid the pain and say, I hear you, you're in pain. Here's a pill. Let's calm the pain down. Let's put a Band-Aid over it. It's not going to, you're going to have a scar. It's not going anywhere, but you know what? Let's put a Band-Aid on it so you don't have to see it all day. That's really what a Band-Aid's for, is so that you don't have to see the wound.
Yeah. Right?
Over and over again. And it's sad because the people in my community, most of them don't want to accept that their wounds contributed to their illness. Like, why is it that millions of other people are coexisting with billions of bacteria? Well, God created the human body too.
Yeah.
That's just how magical we are. I mean, we are the most powerful frequency machine there is, period, on this earth. People want to go get amp coils and they want to go get all these, like, you know, frequency machines. We can find the sounds and we have them within us too. So we have to encourage it.
Something interesting when you talk about that is when you look at a lot of, say, like the Tibetan religions and practices, you know, that's why oming and there was a lot of practice in sound generation from within, like over and over and over again.
Yeah, Kundalini is amazing. I mean, and just I have frequency tones that I have little pitchforks, and I just ping them, you know. And there's people that have healed illnesses from tuning forks.
I just did an interview with a guy that was talking about that, and he said that so he had it. So they start from like outside, the farthest point away is supposed to be that's the youngest, and you work your way in. And so he said like you'd hear this tuning fork coming through, and it would hit this dense area inside of his field, and whoa, it would it would lose its vibration. Yeah. So they'd have to work it, and pretty soon it'd go all the way through.
Our doctors have been. It's not their fault. Our system just never trained them to learn that part of the human body. They've only wanted to look at it as a functioning managing machine versus this. It is very magical. With body.
When we're talking about this, I just want to throw this out there for those of you out there. Maybe some people will resonate with this. Others will be like, "You're interrupting the program." But you know, like
that's
when I think
the whole fucking purpose here is to disrupt your program, people. Hello, disruption. Like, nope, sorry.
So like, you talk about like the doctors and the way that they approach helping people heal, and I think about. So I was kind of equating it to computers. You know, when you have a computer, you have the thing, the hard computer. That's the hardware, and then you have the software. You have the program. It's the coding. Did you?
That's the exact I analyzed it that way exactly. I said we need both to function correctly. So like I always tell people, my software is good.
Yeah.
It's my hardwire that still keeps me from, you know, dancing the way I want to or going for more walks, you know. It's like we are a computer. Our outside shell is the shell to the computer. But everything that makes it this magical computer is inside, right?
Yeah.
In the wiring. That's up here and in here. So they've totally dismissed that part of us and have treated us as this other type thing when it's like, no, you could actually help your client's issues by sending them home with the right frequency tuning fork.
Yeah.
You can send them home with an assignment of just changing. I mean, they've just left so much part out that's made our job, like you and me and all the other healers out there or awareness warriors, it makes it harder for us to spread the message because it's been so hardwired into our softwire, a specific program of how we've been programmed to think about health and healing. And it's like, I had to literally unprogram every belief, everything I've been told. I had to unlearn and reprogram what I wanted and what I needed subconsciously. And that's why I'm so obsessed with Psych K, because it was like, it was a way for me to manifest what I wanted. I uploaded what I wanted. I was able to, there's people that have this perception or this belief that, you know, I'm not discrediting tapping and stuff like that because it works. But to claim that it rewires your brain and reprograms your subconscious programming is false and misleading. Tapping allows the nervous system to calm down and allow a thought to come through or a blocked memory, or if you're in a state of panic and you really just need to, you know, calm it down. But there is no evidence and no proof from any doctors or any, like even Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, that you have to go in through the subconscious programming with muscle testing or finding out the belief, right? So there's people that have a belief that they believe doing these things is I feel like keeps them stuck, where because they found something that helps them, yet they still have to do it over and over and over and over and over again as a way of life.
Right.
That's not a way to live. Like, so there's people that believe that their chronic anxiety will always be chronic, and that's just the way they function. But they found a way through tapping or, you know, all these other ways. So when it comes up every day, they have this tool. Well, then someone like me is like, I remember living that way. I remember having that belief. I remember having those tools. I got sick and tired of needing these fucking tools until Psych K was like, well, then how do you want to perceive your anxiety? How do you want anxiety to go? I'm like, I just don't want it to come up anymore. I don't want triggered anymore. I don't want to have to live having to do all these things to manage this feeling that comes onto me. Where's the feeling coming from? So I get really irritated sometimes when I see these people mislead people with chronic anxiety that tapping's this way to rewire. It's like, no, it's like a Band-Aid. It's like, here, if you're having anxiety, let's just put a Band-Aid over it for now. Calm it down. You're fine.
You know, I have heard of people though say that tapping has made significant changes inside of their lives as far as
I'm trying not to downplay it, because I know so many in the community that just love it, and it did change their world. I just wish that they knew that there was another way to change that.
You know something. Yeah, I think it's kind of like there's this little garden that is 100 feet away from us, and that little garden is total and complete peace, wellness, health, joy, abundance, everything. And there's stepping stones along the path, and tapping is a stepping stone. Yeah. It's an excellent. It moves us forward. It gets us towards that goal, but there's so much more.
Yes, yeah, and there's a lot of people in the community that have stopped there.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Yeah. But yet it's like you still can't drive your car. You still can't get on a plane, but you're preaching how wonderful tapping is and how it got you out. What has it gotten you out of? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Where my frustration comes? Like, I get it. Yeah. Because so I took a course for tapping. I'm certified to do EFT. I added that to my toolbox because there are some people that want to tap, and I wanted to facilitate that. When me and my daughter were going through it, it wasn't. My daughter got frustrated with needing to have to tap in public, or every time something would come up, she'd have to take that extra time to have this other separate component of control to try to remember the tapping, to try to remove herself from why she's having anxiety. So sometimes just tapping can trigger someone, because it takes a lot of energy to really focus on, I'm really having a trigger right now. I really need to focus on what I don't want to feel. So
yeah, you know, that's a super interesting point, because I was talking to a guy that works with people using breath work, shamanic breath work, and something that he said. Yeah, it is amazing. One of the things that he said, though, that I found interesting is that if we're always seeking ways to heal, like, we're in a sense keeping ourselves in that, trapped inside of that realm where it's like we're constantly broken, needing something to fix. And so, like, how do we get? And I think that's what you're kind of getting at, is like, if you're focusing on tapping all the time, like you're keeping yourself in this realm where it's like, let's get past the tapping, where you don't got to tap anymore. That's done.
Yes. Thank you.
I see what you're saying.
Thank you. It's been kind of a thing on my community page, and it kind of fucked up a friendship of mine, because she had a complete different belief system, and I'm like, I'm not telling you it's not good, but stop telling people it rewires your brain. Stop telling people it changes your subconscious programming. That's not true. Like, there's so much more to that. Like, the fact that it's like not getting, I mean, she couldn't understand what I was trying to say about, but there's a better way. Like, why do you want to tap every day? Yeah. I get tapping's your way, and you're going to find that is your purpose, to get out to the community and help them. But I feel like that might be misleading to some people, and you're going to keep them now doing this new tapping thing to get through their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we getting to the layers underneath that's contributing to why they keep getting triggered?
Yeah.
So if it's triggering, that means that person has something within them they need to heal. Because if I were triggered by every single person that made a positive post about their personal journey and they were making huge strides in their life and conquering their fear, I'd be fucking throwing them pom-poms. Like, those are the people that led me to my point. But I would never be that person like, well, like, oh my God, I just can't watch it. It's just, like, that broke me as our friendship. Like, when she revealed that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to work. And that's okay. And that's okay. You're on your journey. As we all know, everyone's on their own healing journey. You can only take and accept what you're willing to and be ready for. And you can only go as far as your belief system allows you to go. So if you want to believe that this one way is your one way, then that's the only way you're going to go. And I'm not just gung-ho about Psych K, but at the same sense I am, because it's a way out. It's a way to change what you want. It's a way to manifest what you want to accomplish, how you want things to go, versus managing shit. And I just feel like there's so many things people are doing every single day, Nate, that makes it more complex to manage. Because it's like, it's either you're on pills and you think that's supposed to manage, and you don't do any mindfulness work, and you don't do any tools or exercises, and taking more power away from your body's ability to heal, or you're off the meds and you're doing all these different things. Like, I'm journaling at this time, and I'm tapping at this, and I'm doing this. That alone keeps you stuck on that routine every single day. Like, is that really what you want? And so for me, it's like, I love meditations. I love guided meditations. I love breath work. I love Psych K for changing something, a pattern or a belief, or so that it allows them to do more in their life without worrying about all this self-care shit to manage. Like, how do you want it to go? I'm always asking people that, like, well, then if you don't like that you have to do it all day, then how would you like it to go? Let's fucking upload that.
Yeah. Well, and something that you said earlier that you got on you talked about, was how important perspective is. And that's really become apparent to me in the last few months, is perspective is really everything. And so with Psych K, when you're able to go in and change somebody's perspective at a core foundational level, that changes how they're going to show up in the world. And when we show up different, we take different actions. We respond to the outside stimulus different. Everything changes. So you start at that core level.
Yeah, like, for instance, there's a girl that I work with that she had cancer at a very, very young age. And it left her in a state of fight or flight because everything she was worried was going to cause cancer, even though she'd beat it. And so I helped her change the perception of her battle with cancer and how she beat it, and how she's 28 now, and oh my God, she's able to have a baby, and how she needs to take that part and make that her warrior in her. Like, people live in fight or flight hoping they don't get cancer.
Yeah.
They think everything's cancer. I'm like, you've been through it. You beat it already. You've already, at a young age, went to the very top of the hardest fucking battle a human being could go through. You already fucking conquered it. I'm like, that should empower you so that nothing below that could affect you. Nothing below that cancer can take you down. Like, you've already gone to the top of the worst. So, I mean, and she validated a couple of days later, like, just talking to me, like, just changed her perception of her own journey. It's like, if we can just get chances, like, and that's why I love doing discovery sessions. They might be a 30-minute free discovery session, but in that 30 minutes, I promise you, I will take the story that you just told me and get a whole other perspective and share it, where they're like, I mean, she was like, wow, I never thought of looking at it that way. And I'm like,
and I want to drop this in because you mentioned the discovery session. So anybody that's watching this right now and they're like, I want to connect with Evangelia, like, I need to talk to her. How do they connect with you?
And you too, Nate. You do the same thing I do.
Yeah, but how do they connect with you?
Okay. My website, theholisticlimewarrior.com. You can schedule, book online there. You can read my blog there. You can read the services I provide, some testimonials from some clients. It's just kind of my home grounding place where for now, I'm sticking everything.
Okay.
It's just easier to do that.
And then your Facebook page, Empowering Healing Warriors.
Yeah, that's the community page. And I mean, I've got so many Facebook pages. I have an actual coaching page, but and then I have like private group workshop pages where people can sign up, and we do these little kind of workshops together. I just want to create environments, safe, sacred environments for people that are suffering and don't feel like they're ready to be their authentic self and really share what they're going through. Like, my purpose is to help them raise their vibration to a place where they can be like, fuck yeah, I'm going to own my story.
Yes.
I am a fucking warrior. And I am a warrior, because if you weren't a warrior, you'd be fucking dead. Like, I'm like, you're still here. Like, most people that aren't experiencing pain have no idea what it takes to deal with it day in, day out, and be scared day in and day out, and to go every single day and live with that back demon saying, we can always end it. We can always end it.
Yeah.
It's really sad, because that's who I work with and who I deal with day in and day out, are people that are like, well, I'm going to give it one more try, because if it doesn't work, I'm just going to fucking end it. They're so ready to die, so ready to leave this existence, so ready to remove themselves from this physical pain of their existence. And I want their pain to turn into power and will, and to drive them with empowerment. Like, yeah, you know what? This isn't for the weak. There's something in this for me, because if there is no purpose in someone's life that is suffering with a chronic illness, they're going to stay chronic. Chronic only exists in a belief system of someone that believes it's going to stay chronic. I try my best not to use the word chronic, because that's why Lyme becomes chronic, because only reason why it becomes chronic is no proper treatment and medications that manage it.
Yeah. So
it becomes chronic, and that's just how the body functions until, you eradicate it or work on. And when I say eradicate, I don't just mean a bacteria. Detox to me and eradication means bad energies, bad emotions, bad people, bad food. I mean, anything negative, because we are like a battery. So if you think of a battery, and the battery is just constantly being drained out, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what do we do without a charger? So humans are walking around constantly being zapped with negative energies. And their energies they're not seeing, whether it's from their boss, whether it's from their spouse, whether it's from their family, whether it's from the environment they live in. All those things affect the human body. So that's why they do healing retreats, or they try to tap out and take a break, or do mindfulness work, because little moments of silence and doing literally nothing, which is not normal in our day and age. We're really not granted that kind of time unless we take that time out, which is super toxic for the human body. And we have to get put back on a charger. And so that's what I personally think coaches are for people, personal coaches for people. We're their little personal chargers. Like, no, you got this. No, we're going to do this. No, here's another perspective. Like, it's almost like coaches keep people going with whatever circumstances they have. And I'm hoping that the masses of us that believe in this type of recharging of the human body will come together and create sanctuaries, places for us to go to to tap out and say, fuck, dude, my job is driving me nuts. I just need 3 days of break. Like, I want my little tornado to slow down. And the reality is we aren't living in a world where we create time for that. Like, it's not part of our agenda. Like, for instance, in Greece, in Italy, right? In Europe, or maybe just in Greece. People want to talk shit, but from 4 to 6 o'clock, everything's closed. Pharmacy, groceries, everything. Town is fucking closed. And home owners go take naps, or they take breaks, or they, you know what I mean? And then they go back and live their life. Like, they believe they're owed that time. They're running the show of keeping the town going. So, and because it's their way of life, it's been in their program to know shit's closed from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
That to me is self-love, self-respect.
Yeah.
And everybody in the world, and everybody in Greece, that's what they've been brought up to. Like, they think Americans are crazy for working as hard as we do. They just think, you go there and everyone's just kicking, hanging out after work, not worrying about stress. And they're like, fuck, I leave that shit at work, man. I'm hanging out, smoke, drink, whatever. They're all hanging out as a community. We don't have that here. We have after hours. We have specials at the bar. So people can get off work and fucking let go and get drunk and suppress it. It's we need to find gateways and pathways to allow people to be okay with being upset, being mad, being angry at your boss. Like, these are human conditions, people.
Yeah.
Why are we embracing, the negative? Like, we kind of have to embrace people's negative past as doing shamanic work and being a mindset coach. Like, I have to actually embrace and give hugs to these people's pain for them to go, oh, it's really not that bad. Like, it's okay to feel this.
Yeah.
It's okay that I feel this way. We don't encourage people. Like, the fact that companies don't encourage these mindfulness healing group kind of retreats for their company, for their team to stay strong. Like, forget about going for drinks and having this 3-day conference. Take them somewhere so you can connect as a team spiritually. Mm-hmm. Like, there are K facilitators that do the business side of it, where they connect the company and the employees on a belief system and bring them closer. And that makes their business thrive. Community, everything.
I think that we're moving that way, because I think that, like what you're talking about is you're talking about a mindset shift on a societal level. And it's like, we've been operating the same way that our great-great-grandparents were, as far as like our mindsets on a societal level, like we're all separate. Each one of us operates in our own little world. And we're shifting into this new connection where, like, suddenly we're starting to look at emotions and what happens when we suppress emotions and how to actually connect to the people around us. And you're talking about bringing that into like the corporate culture and company culture and into humanity at large. I think that's happening. I think we're moving that direction. And it's people like you that are firing it up.
There's so many of us out there trying to empower people, because we have been wounded, we have been wronged, we have trauma, we have been hurt. And we've kind of been programmed to let movies and Hollywood kind of program us to think about what we think we want. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to healing, it really does come down to what traumas have you been through? What traumas have you tried to heal? What traumas are you suppressing that your body, just go ahead.
I was just going to say, something that when people talk about trauma, I know that there's a lot of people out there, because I know that I used to do this as well, is, like, oh, but it wasn't, like, mine wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't a trauma. Like, it wasn't that bad because I wasn't, X, Y, Z. It's not as bad as, somebody that you're comparing it to. And like, we've all experienced trauma, and even something that you could perceive as it was a small thing can have a significant impact on your life. And so, you know, like that like self minimalization, you need to let that go and really let yourself explore the things that have happened to you inside of your life and not minimalize like your traumas. We have all experienced trauma. If you're human and you are older than 5, you've had trauma.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and the problem is there's not enough evidence out there. Like when I went to court for this accident, they dismissed everything. They dismissed my pain and suffering and what happened to my life. It's like they couldn't believe that a car accident like that could derail my life. Like they didn't have any evidence. I'm like, I was just basically like, this is about trauma, people. This is about what fucking trauma does to a human body. Like, trauma is different for every single human being. So my car accident was different than someone else's car accident. My breakup with my best friend was completely different than the breakup with that best friend, right? So it all depends on what already other traumas are still. It's like a clogged pipe, okay? That's what it is. Trauma, and all of a sudden, one more thing is just kind of like, right? Yeah. And somebody, as much as like they don't want to admit, but like lacking nurturing from both parents as an infant and as a child results in a lot of trauma and abandonment issues that they don't even fucking know about, that is contributed to their personality traits or how they deal with problems or the nightmares they have. It's like all of it comes from that point.
You know, you just said something really huge. Is, you know, a lot of times people look for what is there, but we fail to recognize the stuff that wasn't there that we need as a human being.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like there's men walking around with daddy issues. There's girls walking around with daddy issues, or vice versa, mommy issues. Their mom died at a young age, or their mom was checked out, or their mom didn't hold them and read them stories and was really there nurturally, like to be there. Like there's so much that goes on in the brain from ages birth to 7, right? So it's like if there were things that lacked in that period of development, it results into illnesses or mental illnesses or kind of like personality traits and tics and stuff that they do. And not one doctor's told them, oh, your body's actually physically experiencing abandonment issues. Yeah. Oh, your body's actually experiencing shame. Like the fact that our medical system doesn't know, and maybe they'll never know, but there are specialists like me and you, or people that have done research and training on specific emotions. One emotion. I've trained on shame, abandonment, and guilt. Those are my 3 faves, basically, because those are all contributed to, could be from bullying when you're a kid, lack of nurturing, lack of being heard, lack of being able to be your authentic self. No one supported that or supported your dreams. So it's like, you take that out, and we're both parents. So it's like, can you imagine having a child and not holding them when they cry?
No.
Can you imagine not going to his crib if he's just woke up and he's crying and wants you out, and you're just kind of like, oh, he'll figure it out. Let him cry it out. I'm busy right now.
Yeah. No, I can't understand that.
Right? Like, or being so fucking drunk or wasted that little baby grows up with these coping mechanisms they don't even know about. I've got my kids have friends that have parents that have checked out or really didn't I know what these little kids have lacked in their development as child because I can see it in their personalities. I can see how they shut down when emotions come up. They literally almost turn like they don't have the empathy there to connect with their own emotion. Or it's like if a friend reaches out and says, "Are you okay?" That person's kind of like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Why? They don't even know. And they don't want to know because they don't know how to do it. So you fast forward 10, 15 years, That's not going to benefit them as adults, So you've got, in this day and age, I don't know, probably 45% of kids are walking around with anxiety. My daughter did a poll on Instagram on how many kids were anxious or have anxiety about before going back to school. It was like every single one. All of them had a different form of anxiety and talked about what was their anxiety, like sitting in class all day. Some kids have a hard time, or the fear that these kids have now had to put inside of them because they have to go through these fucking gun drills. Like, that's their way of life, Nate. Like, they don't know any way different. They go to school in fight or flight. People go to work.
That's terrible.
So the system has created us to constantly be living in fight or flight. They've got assemblies about what to do, if a gunman shows up. And they remodeled all the schools to have no outdoor handles on the doors. So it's like, fucking A, we're not safe. You've got these kids constantly scared, and then they can't even run away from anything because then you got social media plaguing them. People posting or commenting or bashing kids online, and then the whole school seeing it. I mean, it's a lot. And the EMFs and all of that. It's like these kids are like constantly like vibrating on a whole different vibration than we were. And it's like my daughter has to wear grounding tools to school. She wears an anemometer pen or a grounding mat in her pocket. And I've taught her about whole brain from Psych K. So if she feels her nervous system is getting ramped up or something, she just goes into whole brain while she's sitting at school. And it totally moves her through that, that whatever moment is going on. Sometimes you don't know what's triggering it. And that's what's happening with people with chronic illness. They don't fucking know what's triggering them. And then they're like, oh, it's this. Oh, it's the food. No, I'm around too many EMFs. Oh, I used my microwave today. Oh, I'm around mold. So when you're living in an unknowing place, like where these people have been lied to or misdirected by doctors, they're sitting on, I don't know what's happening. I don't know which one it is. Is it this? Is it this? I mean, I get people that reach out and just literally have me muscle test for them in surrogation or as a proxy. They're like, I need you to ask. Are these safe for my body? I'm trying. And when your nervous system is so hijacked, right, or overstimulated, your muscle testing is inaccurate, right? We know that just with doing Psych K. And so they're in such a state of panic all the time that they kind of turn to me and they're like, I need to know if this house I'm going to go into is safe for me. I'm fucking freaking out. Last time I went there, I got a headache. What if there's mold? So I'll literally go in interrogation and I'll ask. And I let them move forward and give them a sense of peace, or no, don't go. It's not safe. And so they get this, it's kind of like I use muscle testing as my own compass. It kind of allows me to know if our higher self know more than we do. They know what's best for us. So that's what I think muscle testing is. It's communicating and checking in like, hey, you know more than me. Is this good for me? So, and then we wanted to talk about detoxing.
I think because we've gone so far into this, I think we're going to save detoxing for the next episode.
Okay.
Because we've covered a lot. Okay. So since let's I think we're going to close down this episode right now. And I just want to, one of the things I want to touch on that sent shivers up my spine, Evangelia, is when you were talking about like your purpose and like what you're doing here, and that is empowering the wounded warriors, empowering, like showing people who have like been showing up, waking up, dealing with all this stuff, giving their power to somebody else, not knowing that there is a way out, not knowing that they can take their power back and change their situation. Like that is one of the most powerful, amazing gifts that you can give to people. And I just want to honor you for that. Is there anything that you feel moved to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
Let me think about that. I want to validate people for their physical pain. It's really happening. And I know they're being denied from physicians and practitioners and doctors or loved ones in their life. And I want to honor them I guess, for feeling it, but I want to remind them that this is just your body screaming at you that there's healing that needs to be done. It doesn't necessarily mean I've got to find the perfect cure. It doesn't mean I got to find the magic potion to make all this pain go away, because pain goes away when we work in layers. Pain goes away when we deal with internal things. And it also goes away, when we really paid attention to our external world. Like, who are we engaging with every day? Are they good for us? What's the dialogue going on? So I really want people to pay attention to anything that's negative that's going on, whether it's an argument of someone, they're just, tapping into themselves and going, God, that didn't feel good. Instead of just worrying about what could be going wrong with their organs, because I'm telling you right now, if there was something wrong with your organs and you weren't going to be able to survive, you'd be dead. There is an energy flowing inside of these wounded healers that is keeping them here. And I believe it's their spirit. I believe their spirit is holding them and saying, fight one more day. There is another day, because their higher self knows they can feel better, knows they can get there, but circumstances keep us stuck. So it's like, the more we can be bringing awareness, or me giving a chance to spread this message, that how does someone like me that's literally been abused, physically abused, mentally abused, verbally abused, I've been through so much where my body, with addiction and finding gateways and pathways to run away from that madness and the pain that the stories kept going over and over again and plaguing me so much that all it took was an accident. Like, I don't want there to be an accident for somebody, for it to be their tripwire, to all of a sudden they start down spiraling. Like, I want them to pay attention to the signals and the messages their body's saying. Like, there's just so much in my message I want to tell people that what my purpose is I really want to help people become an open book and become authentic with owning their story, owning their wounds, owning their traumas, and fucking just saying, yeah, I was raped. Yeah, you know what? I got my ass beat every single fucking day. Yeah, you know what? I was addicted. I mean, when you own that, you free yourself. You free yourself, and you attract your tribe. You get the love and support that you deserve and that you've been wanting. And that can't happen until you really step into that power of, you know what? I'm a fucking warrior. I've been wounded, but I've got armor, and I can do this. And because I believe if I can do it, and I was a victim. I was negative Nelly. I was, oh my gosh, like, there was a pessimist. My husband would get so drained talking to me, because he'd be like, oh my God, you always find a way to look at the negative. Like, can't we just think about something that could happen, right? And
wait. You were a pessimist?
like victimhood. Like, I was like that Saturday Night Live girl, Debbie Downer. Yes, and it would drive people crazy, because I was such a fucking negative Nelly, and I was like, oh, but you don't get it. Like, when I eat that happens. Oh my God, no, guys, what if this happens? Or what if we drive this? You know what I mean? It was always what if. Yeah. And so as my husband and my family to see me in a positive place where I'm the one going, but what if this happens? It's like, but I manifested that. I wrote how I wanted to be, and I uploaded that shit with Psych-K. Yeah. I wanted to be a positive thinker. I wanted to be empowered. Like, I literally made a bold upload of, I am empowered by my past. I am driven by my wounds. Like, I uploaded that shit, and it was like, I felt like a cartoon character, like, ooh, like, there's my sword, you know?
Yep.
And I want all these broken, wounded warriors with broken spirits and a broken past that are plagued by their brokenness to find a way to take that brokenness and put it into, like, I ended it last interview with becoming a beautiful mosaic, because that's what those broken pieces are. It's like, no. Let me help you take all those fabulous broken pieces and let's create a beautiful new ending. And then you'll get to look at it and go, wow, you're beautiful. Because it's like, I used to hate myself. I thought it was gross and shameful for all the things that I've done, the mistakes I've made, the lies I've said. I mean, I was living very sinful on a spiritual, religious level. I was not doing well. And it made sense to me when I became spiritually awakened. I was doing things and thinking things and saying things to me on a spiritual level. And until I rewired and said, you know what, I don't want to be a negative thinker. I don't want to be in pain anymore. I'm stronger and braver than any fucking scenario that could ever happen in my life. And I uploaded this shit. So now my goal is to do that for others. And then so that those people that get their vibration to rise up, they can help others rise up. Like it's like a wave effect. Like if I can just get some people and they start. And I've been witness of that, and I'm sure you have, where it's like you transform one or two people and all of a sudden they're like these little minions, and then they go start transforming other people's lives. So we got to keep doing it, Nate. We got to keep spreading our message and allowing these beautiful people that think they're broken realize you're not fucking broken. You're just bent. That's all. That's it.
So get
broken. Like
get bent. Enjoy being bent.
So seriously, like nobody's the same. That's why we're not supposed to be the same. Our jaggedness, our brokenness makes us fabulous. We're our own book. So my thing is be a fucking open book with your shit and own it. And just watch the universe love you back. Watch these people in the world love you and give you the hug you've been waiting your entire life, because that's how I felt. I shared my story that one time, and I had the worst anxiety because it took me weeks to write. I was really trying to step into my authentic self and be like, fuck it, I'm doing it. They can take it or leave it. I have nothing to lose. This is me, and whatever happens. And I literally was hugged back by the world, and I'm continuously getting hugged back every day, and I want that for everybody else that's wounded, because you're a warrior.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Evangelia Vensel, thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. So hey guys, leave a comment down below what was your favorite part of this episode, and definitely hit that thumbs up button. So thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll be back with more episodes soon. Later.
Bye.